Is this happening? You better believe it.
What a finish. Stage 1 is in the books, and we'll break down how the London Spitfire pulled off the epic reverse sweep in the stage final.
London Spitfire, Stage 1 champions.
The Spitfire will join us to tell you why they are the best team in the Overwatch League.
네, 최고입니다. 일단 따봉.
And we went behind the scenes to see how the drama unfolded for teams trying to qualify for the stage title matches.
We can beat that team if we play our absolute best. Nothing less will cut it.
Plus, all the best plays and the most emote-worthy moments from Stage 1 in our first ever Emote-lympics. This is Watchpoint.
Welcome to MLG's Watchpoint. Mr. X here with Monty and Uber, and Stage 1 is complete. What a crazy finish.
It was a crazy finish. Not as crazy as Mitch's shirt, though. His torso is actually moving at light speed right now.
They call me Mr. Fahrenheit, bros. I'm going to make the Kessel run in just a moment. But, you know, it feels like it's gone so fast, though. You know, it's so crazy when we talk to people and we say, yo, we're like 25% through Season 1 already.
Yeah, it has been fast. We do have a shorter season than a lot of other esports, but we still have a lot more games left, so exciting times.
I mean, it was an amazing week 5 to conclude Stage 1 of the Overwatch League. And we're going to break it all down, and we'll hear from the Stage 1 champions, the London Spitfire.
Plus, we'll go behind the scenes to show you how the contending teams made their run towards the stage title.
And of course, Uber will run us through the most emote-worthy moments from all of Stage 1, but let's start at the beginning.
Right, so there were 43 million possible scenarios that could have played out to get us a Stage 1 champion, and it began on Wednesday. The first thing that needed to happen in week 5 to shake up the stage title picture was a valiant win over the Dynasty. And we got that on Wednesday as Los Angeles took out the listless Seoul team 3-0, opening the door for several teams to break into the stage finals.
That's right, and one of those teams, of course, was Houston, who dismantled the London Spitfire 3-1 in an upset on Thursday, putting themselves in prime position and jumping London in the standings. It was a surprising result, given how hot the Spitfire were. Spitfire, so hot right now. Hot. But the Outlaws proved to be hotter on that day, but less hot in the end.
And the shakeups kept coming Friday as Seoul Dynasty dropped a map to the San Francisco Shock, dropping themselves out of stage title contention in the process. Then the LA Valiant needed a 4-0 win over the Shanghai Dragons to stay in the picture, which LA was able to sweep Shanghai, leaving them hoping for a Boston win over Houston of 3-2 or 2-1 to sneak the Valiant in.
And everything will be sorted out on Saturday. It would all come together as the NYXL took on London. The Spitfire needed to win a map, just one, to get in, which they did straight away. But NYXL still won the 5-map match, giving them that #1 seed. And then it was a battle for that last spot between Houston and Boston. And the uprising made it interesting, but in the end, it was the Outlaws prevailing in 5 maps to reach the stage finals. I think at one point there was like 3 possibilities, you know, at the end of that series.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So the stage was set for our playoffs. NYXL, the #1 seed, and awaiting the winner of the 3rd-seeded Spitfire and the 2nd seed, the Houston Outlaws. But before we get to those title matches, let's talk about how we got there. In all the madness in week 5, what stood out to you guys the most?
For me, it's Seoul Dynasty, you know, just kind of falling apart a little bit. You know, you lose that first match, and then you have to go in against San Francisco Shock, and you need a 4-0 there, and you end up dropping 2 maps to the San Francisco Shock. You take Flood out on Temple of Anubis. Where's Kuki playing for Miro? No, we haven't really seen him since the NYXL game. I just thought Seoul dropped the ball a little bit.
I think they did too, and it is surprising to me that they made those personnel decisions, those player decisions, because that seems to be a recurring theme. We don't really understand why the Seoul Dynasty are making certain substitutions. Now, even it is worth saying, even if they did get that 4-0, the odds were vanishingly long. They would have made the stage playoffs anyway.
And the issues happened even before just this week. I mean, you have Guido play against London. You get swept by them. That's a series that you probably would have liked to have back, have Jaehong in the game. Now, you lose 1 map at the beginning of the season to Dallas Fuel, who we learned later wasn't that good. And then you dropped the map to the Shanghai Dragons. So you kind of blew it all like in the last few weeks.
We are seeing a bit of this, though. I feel like a lot of these teams are going into the match with a plan. So it's like, whether we win or lose the first few maps, we're going to go with this substitution and have this set up. And also, we'll talk about it a little bit later as well, why we saw some certain substitutions for New York that we maybe found a little bit strange. So these teams are still sticking to those plans sometimes regardless of whether, you know, the initial setup is working out or not. But Boston, looking pretty sharp, man. These guys are an incredibly cohesive unit. One thing I really enjoyed, actually, was the match between them and the Philadelphia Fusion, because you had two teams that like to dive, two teams that like to be aggressive, but you could just see how much more coordinated and cohesive Boston were in playing that aggressive style.
Well, it's not even the coordination either. Like, we can talk about some decent coordination from teams like the LA Gladiators that have won matches based on their teamwork. But for me, what Boston really needed was those star-level performances to put them over the top. You have to have that playmaker to really hit a top-tier level. And let's talk about Dreamcasper, who has been one of the biggest surprises so far this season. He has had a just outstanding performance on a wealth of different heroes, and especially a lot of his Pharah play recently has been next level.
Yeah, I mean, he's been nuts. Striker has been extremely good for Boston throughout Stage 1. I know Gamsu and Neko also had very good Stage 1s for Boston, and Boston ends up losing their kind of best chance at the playoffs in that match against the Shock as well. The Shock is ruining everybody's chances here.
These guys are so good at playing spoiler, and it just plays so perfectly into the personality of the San Francisco team. If there's blood in the water, they're going to be coming for you. But on that point of Gamsu as well, very, very good at following up on the damage that Strike is doing. Very good at finishing off those kills. This guy, very, very good. We saw some crazy, sort of blind dives out from Gamsu, especially on maps like Eichenwald there, where he sort of jumps over walls without actually knowing what's going to be on the other side. This guy loves to ride the lightning.
He's been absolutely amazing, and especially having cast him at Apex in Korea, where he was on a lesser team. Now that he's got better pieces around him, he really is putting up the big numbers, and he's definitely, I think, alongside Muma, one of our best Primal Rage Winston players in the league.
Yeah, we knew how good he was coming in, but we didn't know if he could be one of, like, the top Winstons in the Overwatch League with so many good main tank players. But I think, at least for me, he proved he's definitely one of the best.
He's also a great Reinhardt, by the way.
Yes.
We just haven't seen it in a while, so.
Eventually we will.
Eventually we will. Soon.
Maybe.
Soon. And speaking of, the Boston Uprising, one of their most surprising wins was over London. They picked up that victory there, and London has been a team that has been a little bit inconsistent, we have to say. Yes, they are the Stage 1 champions, but sometimes they've been confusing me. First off, it's been figuring out their roster, right? They start out this season not really running a lot of the GC Busan core, which is, by the way, the reigning Apex champion, so we expected them to come out with more of those members starting out. But then they start integrating them into the roster, and it seems like slowly they're forming an identity. But you look at the first 3 weeks of London, and you say, okay, this is a very aggressive team. This is a Genji Dive Tracer team. Then they start to lose, right? They get upset by Boston. They come back week 4, and all of a sudden they're running anti-dive with the Junkrat and the Widowmaker, and they 4-0 Seoul. And then they come back in week 5, and they play dive against Houston, lose to Houston, refuse to change up their defensive strategies back to that Junkrat and Widow. And then by the end of that same day, they're back to Junkrat and Widow and playing really well. So I have to say, I am confused about their strategies, but when they're on, they look great. It's just a matter of finding that right strategy to run.
I just don't think they really love playing Junkrat. I think they would just much rather play
it looks that way,
and
right?
just be extremely aggressive. But I think they found out that once they started playing this Junkrat and Widow combination, that's really what kind of fueled their victory at the end of the day.
I mean, it's funny you should say that, though, because Prophet, when he did play Junkrat, had immensely better stats than pretty much every other Junkrat player in the league on those occasions.
But he also has better stats than, like, every Genji and Tracer in the league as well when he plays those. So it's like, oh, I would much rather play them.
But let's get on to the big ones now.
Yeah.
The Stage 1 title matches, which began with a rematch from Thursday, London versus Houston. Let's have a look at this one. It was a best-of-5 format for the stage finals. And Houston picked off where they left off on Thursday, winning Dorado comfortably. But the Spitfire shut the door after that, not allowing the Outlaws to score a single point on Ilios, Temple of Anubis, or Eichenwald. London cruised to a quick 3-1 win, setting up a Stage 1 championship between the Spitfire and the NYXL. But let's dig into that semi-final a bit more, Matt, because we see London with a very different result than prior to Houston. But what did they do differently to avenge their loss to Houston?
Well, like we just said, they played, a little bit more of Junkrat, right? But I do think you saw Birdring probably have his best series of the season. Maybe, well, obviously before the actual final. But I thought Birdring really did a nice job countering Linkser. We talk about Linkser as one of the best counter snipers in the Overwatch League. Birdring really put down a ton of work. Now, this is his overall map series. Not even just playing the Widowmaker. It's all the stats, taken in. Really those final blows, 43 to 33, and just look at the deaths compared to that, right?
Right.
Lynx are with 39, Birdering with only 23.
And that's the big difference to me, is the difference between deaths and final blows. If you count that up, it's Birdering plus 20 deaths over final blows, and Lynxer was a surprising -6.
And also, Prophet had a tremendous series as well. I bet you if we showed his stats versus Jake, they're kind of the same. And, Prophet playing Junkrat a lot of the times, he's able to put down even more damage. Birdering able to finish him off, but his Widow just was game-changing all Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we saw that in the finals, too. But I also think that the biggest difference from earlier in that week was what I alluded to earlier. So if we look at that first Outlaws best-of-5 series, okay, London comes in, but they're playing Tracer Genji Dive on defense. Now, this is a meta that rewards spectacularly Junkrat Widow when you play defense. This meta has evolved over the course of stage 1 to where teams who run that style of defense on most of these maps have done the best. That's New York, that's Houston, that's London when they choose to run it. And they did not choose to run it the first time they played against Houston. Too much dive. It was easily shut down by the Houston Outlaws. Now they come back for that first stage playoff semifinal. They start to run it instead, and then they see a much greater success,
there's problems with defensive dive, and you could even just start with how Mercy sort of kind of rewards teams that maybe aren't diving too much as well. It makes it harder. If you're defensive diving, the risk factor is increased drastically because it's so hard to recover up some of those botched dives, over aggressive.
Well, it's just like you're already set up on defense on these escort and payload maps, and so when you are running the Widowmaker, it's simply more effective because you have the positioning already. And even if your Widow dies, you just res it in the back line, so you force the enemy to come to you.
I would love to know if London just chose not to play this way because, maybe they just kind of found it easy and knew that they could adjust to this at any time. And with all these new players coming in, really just practice the dive over the first few weeks, right? So you always have the dive to fall back on. And Prophet can come in and play Junkrat. That Birdering is like a high-level Widowmaker player. So there's no reason to show it this early in the season.
I mean, I guess, and I think that will power them going forward. Like, them being good at dive is something we'll see in the future more.
That's something they're always going to need.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the actual Stage 1 finals, though, guys. It was a rematch from earlier on Saturday. London versus the NYXL. New York came out strong behind Big Boss Pine. New York took Junkertown and Oasis, leaving the Spitfire down 0-2 at the half. But London brought it back on Horizon, Numbani and Dorado to complete the reverse sweep and claim the Stage 1 title. It was a long 3-match day for the players who played 14 maps in total, and they were ecstatic to finish it as champs.
That is it. London Spitfire will be your Overwatch League Stage 1 champions.
In their 14th game of the day, the reverse sweep, coming back to take home $100,000.
너무 경기를 많이 하다 보니까 피곤해가지고 너무 좋아할 기분도 아닌.
새 게임 하는 것 자체는 솔직히 좀 많이 피곤한데요. 근데 또 뭔가 서로 그냥 되게 집중력 싸움이 되는 것 같아요. 그날 타이틀 매치를 하는 팀끼리.
But Nelson, can he get him? Can he get him? No, not quite. Sabi will be asked to back away. Birdering with the snipe. There's the self-destruct, and he can't get back on the point. London Spitfire will tie up this series.
그때 그러니까 약간 승부가 어느 정도 결정 났던 것 같아요.
And they still have yet to find a point of weakness, a way to stop Birdring and Prophet.
저는 저희가 이제 버드링 선수가 눈바니에서 너무 잘해준 것 같아요. 버드링 선수가 약간
Birdring, free firing, unopposed.
프로핏 선수. 도라도 마지막 세트 때 발키리를 잡은 적팀 메르시 발키리를 잡은 게.
And Arc is killed by Prophet.
너 도신 형이 내 제스처 형 나올게.
제스처 선수가 오늘 MVP인 것 같아요. 마지막 세트 때 저희 팀원들 멘탈을 좀 잘 챙겨줘가지고.
위도 보다 프로 할게. 때려봐.
Oh, gesture.
제 생각엔 도신 형인데. 네. 제가 쪼낙 선수한테 좀 많이 잘렸었는데 그만큼 도신 형도 상대방 딜러를 좀 많이 잘라줘서.
Oh, that is dirty right there.
네, 최고입니다.
일단
따봉.
현재 진행형으로 오늘은 최고인데
오늘만 최고.
네, 오늘은 절대 저희는 저희를 최고라고 생각하지 않고요.
네, 전 최고입니다.
배우는 마음가짐으로 하고 있습니다. 그래야 발전할 수 있다는 생각.
런던이 최고라고 생각합니다.
비도신이 최고는 아니고?
런던이 최고입니다. 스테이지 2도 꼭 우승을 해보겠습니다.
돼지 3.
그땐 내가 없지 않을까.
And Birdring was simply amazing in the 3 maps London won to complete the reverse sweep. He led in all of these categories during those maps: limbs, final blows, damage done, and percent of overall team damage. Hero damage. It's incredible carry there from Birdring. You saw, though, a lot of the other guys, though. I mean, just everybody played great for this London Spitfire team.
Let's just think about the fact that he was leading in total damage and percent of damage on the last. He did not play Junkrat.
No, I'm saying Prophet played Junkrat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. That's what's so crazy is that he was primarily playing that long-range hit scan, and yet he was still out damaging.
His job is not to
Junkrat.
get damage. It's really those final blows.
No,
yeah, that was also crazy.
Let's get into this, though, Monty. How did they complete the reverse sweep, the London Spitfire?
Well, I think we do have to, unfortunately, talk about some mistakes that New York might have made in this series. They did end up playing Janus in all of the maps that they lost, despite a very good performance from Mono. And as we take a look at these 2 tanks, yes, it was Mono mostly playing the Orisa on the first 2 maps, so not a lot of playtime on this Winston. And yes, Janus has worse stats because he lost all of the maps that he did play, but there's a pretty big difference that we're looking at right here in terms of damage done. Also, the compositions were very different, you have to say. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be rushing to blame Janus, but realistically, they chose to run Genji, Trace, or Dive into the Junkrat Widow defense, which all 3 maps that they played and that they lost at the end, and I think that is a central mistake that made Janus look worse.
And it's tough as well, because going into this game, I'm quite sure New York would have decided in advance to bring Janus in for those last few maps. Now, they were doing so well, so it's very hard to be in a position where, you know, something isn't broke and you're substituting a player out there, but they're probably just trying to very much stick to the script that they had for that day, and then, you know, they lose a couple maps, it's 2-2, and they realize, well, we can't just go back and change it now. We have to stick with the original plan, and maybe it didn't work out. We saw actually some positioning issues for Janus there on a couple of occasions there as well. Maybe when there wasn't super cohesive. I think true to his name, we saw a very different look from the particular
the other face.
Yeah, they were playing Mono though up until this point primarily all the time. I mean, he was in like
Janus
most of the maps. Control. He was playing Control.
Mostly.
But like maps like Dorado, Mono would play. They would, you know, Nimbani, they took him out. It was just weird.
I mean, you have to believe that they put him in because they wanted him to be a primary engage tank for their dive composition, but this is exactly the same mistake that London made in their match against the week earlier against Houston, is playing the dive comp too excessively at times and not switching it up. And we saw that from Libero as well. Libero, his Genji was really lackluster, guys. I mean, look at this. In that match, he had 5,000 hero damage done for 10 minutes. The league average is nearly 7,800, which means even a 50% increase in his performance would still leave him under the league average. And again, it's not all his fault. It was a compositional and tactical error that this team made, and it made both Janus and Libero look bad.
It doesn't help as well that New York reverted back to some of their bad habits we saw early in the season, where they criticised them for. But you know, I think we'll get onto that in just a second. But importantly as well, we can see that London go towards this more anti-dive composition, or they have a few more looks, where New York were kind of the teams that built this sort of anti-dive comp, and now they're trying to go dive. You can see a Prophet gets so much value from the Junkrat throughout the entirety of this series. I mean, you can see 23 plus 23 eliminations, plus 10 final blows in 4 or 5 of the title match games there. Just a huge performance from a team that didn't really utilize Junkrat to his fullest prior.
Yeah, and I mean, he was catching a lot of the supports, you know, with the rip tire as well. I think, you know, we saw the one right there in the church where he's able to get both of them.
Courthouse.
Yeah, the courthouse, church, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing.
I actually said that during the broadcast. I'm like, well, wait.
I just say whatever Mitch says. That's why I messed
mean, you
up.
can get married in the courthouse too.
It's all the same thing. Yeah, you can get married wherever. But I think it was just the bad ult usage from NYXL. It's funny because earlier in the season when me and Monty were arguing, you know, if they were the best team or not, I was like, oh, no, they are. And he's like, well, their ult use is lackluster. I was like, oh,
from the support
it's
side.
Fine from the support side. Nimbani, you really saw that come back
I had my
to
head
life.
in my hands.
It was. Well, I remember we were watching it downstairs, and
and
we
it
were
got
just
so
like
much better.
Downstairs, we were just like, well, why are they using trance? And then it's like, well,
No, they vouched in a.
Ark's like, hold my beer, watch this. I'm gonna
vouched in a 2v6 to go to a 4v6, and then they transed on the point to stall and give maybe one or two people the healing from it. That was so impatient. They were trying to force the issue on Abani, and it looks like their mental stamina. It's a long day. Okay, I get it, long day, but it looked like that broke about there.
I think we really saw in a lot of ways. Remember, Jonak is a rookie, right? He has not played at a professional level before this season, and all of a sudden, he's here in a big high-pressure situation, his first real big high-pressure situation, and I think that's where we saw him revert to a lot of the bad habits he started the season with. If I'm a New York coach, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, God damn it, I thought we fixed this, guys. I thought we fixed this.
And like, I've been on the losing end of the reverse sweep before as a player and a coach, and it's like, you get there and you're one map away, and all you guys can talk about on the stage is like, all right, guys, we just need one more map. And then like you lose the next one, it's like, all right, we need one more map. And then like by the time you get to that last game, everybody is just like in panic. There's just like, oh my God, we've run out of maps. We don't have another one after this. And it just comes so quick. And I think it just snuck up on New York.
Yeah, it did help too that it was London's better maps to end out the series, including ending on Dorado, which they had already won earlier in that day.
I expected them to win, though.
Yeah.
I do think that New York should have had at least one of those last 3 maps.
They haven't been great on Horizon, but yeah. I mean, we couldn't have seen that result, right? And speaking of other results, great transition, that we couldn't have seen. Week 5 brought us a wild ending to the first stage. There were a lot of unexpected results and performances, so let's take some of those great plays that caught us off guard this week. It didn't see that coming. Mr. X, you want to take it?
Yeah, we're going to start things off on Wednesday with Mickey. He solo holds the point here as Baby Diva against the Shanghai Dragons. He's able to pick up 1 kill, and then he gets right back in his mech here and just stays alive.
He was my player of the day for Dallas. I think he really stepped up.
Here's an interesting moment for you guys. It was between the San Francisco and Los Angeles Gladiators game. A bit of what, more than a pyrrhic victory, I guess. A mutual death here between these two individuals.
So that's actually a spectator bug right there. On the player screens, it would have been a dash right afterwards. Before he died, sometimes we do get a little bit of a delay on those abilities, but pretty funny overall. I'm going to take a look at Thursday with Libero having a map-saving Riptire here against the Florida Mayhem, coming from Spawn.
The Mayhem can't catch a break.
No, they can't. And then nailing a support and Tabik on the backside right as Florida was about to take that point A.
Well, we got more tires coming in here next. It's going to be Prophet on the flank with a Riptire 3K here. It's actually, no, he actually goes, so this is, the Riptire's pretty strong, the mine just as strong, right? He actually just gets 3 with the mine. Junkrat is a pretty ridiculous guy.
That's just destroys their high ground setup.
Oh, man, that feels bad. A lot of people questionable about Junkrat right now, but he is very strong, it's safe to say. Here's my boy Linkster, gets himself a bit of Deadeye action. Notice how crucial this timing is, by the way. Boston have no point just to walk into this, and they get 3K'd, and that pretty much ends the map.
I mean, you have to get to the payload in overtime, so that's when these Deadeyes have so much value. We're gonna look at a little questionable moment here. Gamsu is emoting and gets killed by Cool Matt. So he's standing there. That has to be a mistake. Look, if he had been on San Francisco, Dak would have been so mad at Gamsu for that emote.
That's it.
If that was the Mayhem swoosh, we would just started dancing on the other side. And we had Jonak here in our stage final. The 4K on Roadhog. We see him play so much Zenyatta. We talk about how good his Zen is. Here he is turning up on Roadhog. He's able to just barrel on through. Seems like Roadhog can just live forever at times.
That looked like the hallway scene from Old Boy.
Yeah, it feels like Nuss was like confused Travolta. He just walking down the corridor like, I can't get away from this one. I just have to wear it. Here's a bit of Pine action. This is just nutty. There's no other way of putting it, guys. Pine flanks around. Of course, grappling hook lower cooldown now, so you can go for this stuff. But he literally just dumpsters 4 players on the London Spitfire. And that wasn't even enough to win the damn map.
I really like what we saw there from Pine, and these are the plays that we get with Pine, right? He'll take the risk, and sometimes you come up with, that was maybe the best play of the entire stage 1.
I still go with Gamsu dancing on the bridge. That's my play of stage 1. No, the Pine one was just incredible. But Saturday was an intense day for all the teams who are still trying to qualify for the remaining spots in the stage 1 title matches. Let's take a look at how the drama unfolded.
welcome to the Blizzard Arena for the final day of Stage 1.
Not just playoffs, NYXL against London. First seed versus second seed.
New York is dominating this fight, now chasing some kills.
New York XL will carry through and win in overtime versus the London Spitfire.
And they are now the #1 seed going into the Stage 1 playoffs.
NYXL against London, Houston, Boston, these are massive games.
Oh, I like the hat. Houston Outlaws versus Boston Uprising with playoff implications on the line. Both teams are still alive.
This match is going to be an absolute blockbuster. Casper's in dangerous territory. Lynx are put him to sleep. Night to fall. Rock has found him, and the Houston Outlaws have done it. What a match! What a series!
We were saying from the beginning, it doesn't matter how we beat Boston, we just got to get it done. So in that sense, it's going as planned so far. We're really feeling good about our matchup against London. We have obvious momentum going into that series. They, just lost, so that'll be interesting to see if they're ready to make an adjustment like that on stage.
아마 저희 팀원이 12명의 로스터가 지금 준비가 돼 있는데 6대6으로 내전을 하지 않을까 생각을 해요.
오늘 경기에서 이제 우승을 하면은 타이틀을 얻는 거잖아요. 스테이지 1 짱이라는 뭐 그런 게 되는 거죠. 좋은 거 같아요.
New York Excelsior is the final boss for us for sure. Everyone has that same perspective, but right now it's London. London is the only opponent. It's all about morale at this stage. Every team is going to be feeling it by the end of the day. Which team can hang together by a thread and which team's going to snap apart, and that's going to be the story of the next 2 series for sure.
직업이 프로게이머인지라 그냥 게임을 많이 해도 힘들진 않습니다.
We are now into the final 2 matches of the day. Here it is, the Spitfire going up against the Outlaws.
Houston is kind of similar to us, I think.
런던 한 번 더 이기면 좋겠는데 또 때려주려고.
Seems like London has figured something out. This Spitfire could be the game! It is! Where are the Outlaws now? The Spitfire take flight straight into our grand finals. You can see Houston just stunned.
London are now headed for a rematch against the New York XL, and this is where all the big money is on the line.
And Pine, this guy's a living highlight reel, man. There was just no stopping New York on that push. And New York Excelsior win the round. They are up 2-0 in this final.
We're just 1 map away from New York taking this.
All right. All right, here we go. London will take Lunar Colony and keep their hopes alive in this series. London Spitfire will tie up this series. The finals all come down to this. New York needs to push. London, are you kidding me? We're into overtime. Here comes a Riptire. Profit could be $100,000 ultimate. Oh, he's after the Mercy. He gets Arc. That's huge. OT ticking away, and that is it. London Spitfire will be your Overwatch League Stage 1 champions.
London had a busy week 5 leading up to that Stage 1 championship win. They played 18 maps, including 14 on Saturday. And since stage title matches don't count the standings, they actually took a hit with 2 losses and a -3 map differential on the season. They did avenge both of these losses, however, in the stage finals, and I think they'll quite happily trade 2 losses on the season for $100,000. Yeah, surprise! We are out here. It's the end of Stage 1. We're having a surprise party. We're going to point out the biggest surprises from Stage 1. Mr. X, you're up first.
For me, it's got to be the Boston Uprising as a real contenders here in Stage 1. I think everyone was caught off guard by that. Gamsu, one of the better main tanks in the league. Dreamcaster and Striker, a fantastic DPS duo as well.
I think this is a great surprise because especially the fans thought, who the hell are these guys that Boston is signing? What is wrong with Huck? Turns out Huck was right all along.
I mean, it almost pains you to say it sometimes. The man put in effort, but when I see such a big, drastic improvement in a team, you've got to give it to the coaching staff. They made a huge difference. There's no doubt about it.
That's right. Surprise! Surprise! I don't know if we should actually celebrate this, but Seoul is struggling. We thought coming in, obviously, that Seoul was going to be the #1 team in this league, and Uber's really happy. Just tooting his horn over there at Seoul struggling.
I heard Doa's so upset about this, he's not coming in.
He's refused to cast until Seoul.
Credit to him, though. He's not a bandwagoner. On principle of them being Seoul, he has stuck to them Well, although he never really quite explained to us why.
It's funny, they were like so dominant the early weeks, and we were talking like, oh man, can anyone beat them? Like, who's gonna come in second? And they just completely fall off the wagon.
Yeah, I agree. Surprise, Linkser came out of his shell. This guy's been around for so long. He's been around for so long. He actually started on a team called Platinum Key Dynamics back in 2015. Always a quiet player, but you can see now this environment has allowed him to really start to pop off and really show some incredible ability. Linkser struggled. I call it, he was in Dignitas prison for a while, that team that really got no results done for about 8 or 9 months, but now in the Overwatch League, he's found his home, he's found his spot. The bloke is doing very, very well. We're happy to see that, of course.
I'm really happy.
Yeah.
We saw him slowly get better over time. He's been a player that has consistently improved time and time and time again, coming into the Contenders playoffs with Giganti, pulling off that big win for Contenders Europe, and then slotting very nicely into the Houston Outlaws.
I think he's going to be a player that gets better as this Overwatch League season moves on. And surprise, the Fuel aren't any good. They really struggled throughout stage 1. They turned it around.
This is kind of a sad party in some way.
It's a really
the
sad
Soul
party.
and the Fuel.
So they lose 7 of the first 8 matches. They start to turn around towards the end. You know, they're bringing AKM in. I think they can turn around. Oh, and by the way, the Pacific Division, you look at some of those records, they could easily climb up right back towards the top. So it was a bad stage 1 for the Fuel.
Yeah.
It can get better, though, quick.
And speaking of the Dallas Fuel, this one right here is XQC because it's a Throne streamer. And that's been a part of their problem, too, obviously, with their tank line not being there.
Yeah, honestly, look, I think Kaikai's had one of the hardest jobs in the Overwatch League. It's not because his team are bad or because his team just don't want to work with him. It's just that there's been a series of events, one after another, that have caused players to be unable to play, some for fine reasons, some for more dubious ones. Point is, this guy's got to try and manage all of those things into getting a team of 6 players out on the field. It's hard to do.
Kaikai probably has the worst job in the league right now, honestly.
I call him Stro asking for a raise every day.
I'm going to go with a nice surprise. Yeah, making it rain here with my champagne. Because this is Jonak being a breakout player. What a pleasant surprise. This guy comes in. Yes, we had seen him at the top of the leaderboards on the Korean server, but what we didn't know was how well he'd be playing as a rookie. And not only that, but New York really built this team around him in this meta with such a huge amount of damage coming out of the support role.
And usually people don't live up to the hype. Like, we were hyping him up in the preseason. We heard everybody talking about him. You know, Raucus saying on Twitter, like, oh, this guy's insane, from the Pro Pugs. And he delivered in a big way.
Yeah, I think he's built into the team quite nicely. You see him getting a lot of damage boosting from Arc. We saw some incredible Zenyatta just highlights from. I mean, there were some points where he's out DPSing actual DPS players, so that's really quite impressive. For me, surprise, Soon and Unco have integrated really well into the Los Angeles Valiant, right? You actually obviously have multiple language going on in this team, all right? You have the 2 Frenchmen who aren't overly outspoken in general. They've come in, they've hit their stride. They were looking as good as they were on Rogue, if not better. I mean, the Valiant have so many tools at their disposal now with these guys.
I like the French connection a lot. Again, like you said, we didn't necessarily know how they were going to integrate on this team because there were going to be language barriers there, especially with the Korean players, but Valiant have really made it work, and Soon is definitely one of the most fun players to watch in Overwatch League right now.
Yeah, I love watching Soon and Unco both play. I think Unco just gets better once he gets up. He's going to wild for that.
Got him, boys! I didn't expect it to be that.
Unco's good to watch playing.
Okay, that's it for our surprise party. Hopefully no health insurance has to get called in. But yeah, it's good points to be brought out there. But as Monty mentioned, Seoul's late-stage struggles were certainly a big surprise, not only to us, but to the Dynasty as well, as we see in this week's social studies.
Welcome to work, guys. Another day at the office.
스테이지 1 마지막 경기를 치르러 가는데 플레이오프를 갈 수 있을지 없을지 모르겠지만 최선을 다하겠습니다.
끝맺음을 좋게 맺기 위해서 열심히 하려고 기분은 조금 걱정 반 그러네요.
Seoul has to rise on back to the top. We'll see if they can start it right now.
For Seoul Dynasty, they need to be flawless. They need to win this match big time. And then afterwards, they still are not guaranteed in the playoffs because they need the Valiant to perform in a certain way and also the boss not rising tomorrow. So this is everything for Seoul.
Oh, man. Here they'll bring Jaehong right back into the fight. Nomi dies in the spot, not going to be able to get red.
bring Nevix here as well. Let us looking for a Vegas. Still Dynasty may have fed their only chance to get into the playoffs straight over to the San Francisco Shock. San Francisco up on the point now, and they've done it! They get themselves a second map in this series, but it means so much more.
All right, Seoul knows what's on the line. They need a 4-0 to even have a chance of getting into the playoffs. Well, that chance is now gone out the window.
왜 이렇게 그게 안 돼? 정면에서 뛰고 왼쪽으로 가고 왜 이게 안 되는 거야? 생각이 너무 많아. 그냥 웃고 넘어가. 어쩔 수 없어. 내가 지금 재홍이 형 멘탈 나갔어. 일리오스 얘기해야 돼. 할 수 없잖아 뒤에서. 하늘에 이런 것만 보고 있어야 미치겠어. 미치겠어. 그거 한번 나중에 얘기해. 우리가 애들 잘 챙겨줘. 네. 파이팅. 가자. 긴장하지 마.
Seoul Dynasty averts a disastrous scenario, but are still not able to keep themselves in playoff contention. Got to be a bittersweet moment for the Tigers.
Thank you so much, Mira. Thank you.
That's right, I know you've missed me. I've got the remote and it's time to look at some of the most emote-worthy moments from stage one. But in the spirit of the Olympics in Pyeongchang, we'll be awarding gold, silver and bronze medals today. This one's for talking fast. This one's for listening to what Matt says. It's bronze, of course. Let's go to our first one here, though. This is
better.
On our Christmas special from the Gladiators.
I'm so glad we get to see this again. This is my favorite.
Are you really?
Yeah, just working that shake weight.
I give this
no, I'm gonna give this a silver medal for awkwardness. I need this to be more awkward because you have to actually blur out the shake weight.
Oh,
and then it makes it gold, okay? So somebody out there's gotta get that for me.
I'm giving this one a bronze medal just because it's super creepy. I don't know what the intent was here. I don't know if I actually even want to see the blurred out shake weight version of the video.
I want to see the blurred out shake weight version.
All right, fine. If Mondi watches it, I'll watch it.
Just edit the bottom of the screen out. Too.
Yeah, okay, now I want to see the blurred out version. I gave it a bronze. The blurred out version, I'll give a silver medal.
I don't think Remix knows what to do with that one. He's just going to play along. Let's check out this one, though, as well. It's a bit of a throwback to our boys in the red and yellow, giving us the Gangnam Style entrance.
I don't know about this. I'm going to give this a bronze medal for the dances that we've seen from the Mayhem. It's at best third. I think we've gotten better. I like the anime ninja run. I thought that was a little bit more creative. Going
I like
back
how
to
you avoided
style.
copyright with that one. Got around it.
I'm going to go with a silver medal for this. I don't feel that this was their strongest dance rendition. I was a big fan of the greatest hits, the one
greatest
we
hits
saw the other day. If they would have followed greatest hits up with a win in the game 5, then maybe they bust out a victory dance. That probably would have been the best scenario.
But watching Swoosh trying to get the banana out of the palm tree was just so strange. It was very.
I was super confused at what was happening.
Hey, I'm just happy these teams are moving into props now. Cowboy hats,
we're getting him in there.
We're getting him in there now.
Cool Matt couldn't wear it because of his quiff, by the way. It just didn't even fit on his head. Let's have a look at our next one. No, we're going to move along here. It is going to be some of our favourite environmental kills from the season. Mostly just car kills. In fact, they're all just car kills.
That one's the best, actually, because Dak didn't press shift. He didn't realize.
I'll give
Dak the gold medal for getting hit by objects that he could easily avoid. That was a good one. I've enjoyed this.
All right, I'm going to go with 3 medals. So the Dak one is going to be the gold medal for me.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Undead with the silver medal because I love the attempt to actually dodge in between the cars there. That doesn't work out. And then, the Jake one is the bronze medal just because he actually has a productive play and then gets hit accidentally by the car.
That's right. Perhaps not as humorous. Let's move on to the next one, though. Oh, this is a bit fun. Your boy Prophet.
Yes.
Having a moment. The Australian greeting, the traditional hello. You can hear the.
I love the gold medal of the surprise factor. This is gold for the biggest on-camera surprise of the actual season, right, guys? Amazing that we got this. Of course, they had to penalize him a little bit. Didn't know that his coaches were, or that it was on camera. Just thought it was for coaches doing a mic check. And I love his coach's reaction too. That's the best part. Is we have those
best 1,000 he ever spent. Easy.
This is easy.
You mean the best 1,000 Jack ever?
This is that Prophet probably didn't pay that. But anyway, I think the best part about this is the coach's reaction, like in the dugout. Like he sees it come up on the screen, you hear the fans' reactions, and he immediately then knows that it's on the camera, and his face is priceless in the dugout.
Tough to know how to behave in those moments. Really.
I love it.
Let's move along. This one is just bizarre. Okay, this guy, if you look a little bit closer, he's got the Dallas field shaved into his belly hair.
Okay. No, I think this is like silver medal for sort of disgusting to me. It's a close second behind watching Mitch dance.
Come on! I went with a bronze medal here. It's a really nice attempt there by the fan. It just comes off a little creepy, and I'm not surprised.
When did we let Jason Moses O'Toole into the studios, though?
That's right.
Interesting one. Okay, let's have a look at our next one here. This was a bit of fun. Talking about walk-ins. Taimu goes, I didn't know what was going on here when he walked up the middle, but it all made sense eventually.
This is hands down my favorite team intro. I mean, we saw a lot of great ones from Florida, but I like how everybody didn't know what's going on. So gold medal as far as team entrances goes, it's just Taimu all by himself, and then they come in with chips for the resurrection. He's like shouting, I need healing while this is happening.
Taimu's overextended into the arena.
Execution was fantastic.
I went with the gold medal for this as well. Probably one of the only times that Chips enjoys playing Mercy was during this initial skit where they bring him out there.
And Taimu enjoys being dead.
Well, he finally got res. That's the impression I get. Let's have a look at this next one. This is a bit of a desk moment here. Bit of a moment between these two guys. You know, it's funny because they haven't worked together a heck of a lot, but it seems like they're already feeling it. I want to be part of this. I've got FOMO right now. That's like the classic Michelangelo moment. But who's God here? That's the real question.
Well, I am. I'm not in the shot, but, you know, as far as this broadcast is concerned, generally speaking, I'm going to give this a bronze. I think they could have been more intimate. I love their expressions, but I think it needed a little bit more of a moment.
I'm going with a gold medal here, and it's not because anything they did. The Symmetra sign in the background. Unleash Symmetra. On the dive comp, just take your Genji out, put a Symmetra on.
That was the easiest crowd reactions ever. I just scream, play Symmetra, like at the start of every game, and the crowd just goes nuts. It's easier than asking if they're
ready. When we get back, and I'm not casting, I'm going to start going into the crowd and putting up signs. Just wait.
I'm going to see what I can
What are you going to put up?
You'll see.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to want to see more Australians and just hold it in the background. You know? That's what I'm going to go for.
I love it.
All right, this is a Spitfire fan reacting after their win. These guys are legit. These guys are very much feeling it. This guy's losing. Does he know he's on camera? This guy's going off.
We've had some pretty good crowd reactions this season. I like how hyped he is. I'm going to give this one a bronze medal. It's still, you know, a podium finish, but it's not like the Seoul Dynasty, I went through every emotion in 5 seconds fan, which was would be my
That was great.
I was gonna give it a goal, but now I just remember that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a silver here. Does not beat crazy Seoul Dynasty fan with all the emotions that was running through that fan that day. But this one's definitely a close second. It's cool to see fans get that invested in the teams. You had a lot of London Spitfire fans in the crowd on Saturday.
That were really feeling it. I love just the fandom they have here. But that's been the Emote-lympics. I don't know who wrote that, but that's the Emote-lympics. Before we close the book on week 5, though, let's take one more look at an action-packed Stage 1.
We are here finally ready to get things started in our very first match of the inaugural season of the Overwatch League.
Swoosh leading the pony ride to the stage. I love it.
There are 3 giants in this league: New York, Seoul, and London.
Victory over the Spitfire. They've knocked them out of the sky.
Philadelphia Fusion bring us second massive upset of the day.
New York Excel, they have done it, and they are the new kings of Overwatch League. Where was the talk about Pine? That guy's a monster.
Big Boss Pine is on the scene. Oh!
Just gonna kill everybody.
Woo! This guy is unstoppable.
You've got some of the best Overwatch on display right now. There's no doubt about it. Fletter is just coming alive.
Sabiolbi, he is the best tracer in the game.
Jake is becoming the hero of Houston here, man.
I don't think I've seen that in a long time. That was filthy.
Valiant will win the battle for Los Angeles.
The reverse sweep.
You know, I'm so proud of my team. I'm so proud of you guys.
London Spitfire, a 4-0 victory over the Seoul Dynasty.
Dynasty needed a 4-0 today to keep their playoff chances alive, and the Shock end that.
This is the first ever stage playoff finals.
Is this happening? You better believe it! London Spitfire will be your Overwatch League Stage 1 champions.
Brand new league, fantastic story here to our first stage.
What did we do to deserve such incredible Overwatch?
As we discussed, there were so many great performers in Stage 1, but now we're selecting the best and maybe pissing off a few fans at the same time. These are our MVPs of Stage 1. Mr. X, who's yours?
This is a really difficult decision to come to, but I ended up going with the London Spitfire's Birdering as my Stage 1 MVP. Obviously, the London Spitfire, they take that final match against NYXL, but I think it's just overall throughout Stage 1, he was the one constant in their lineup throughout the entire thing. They're moving around all these different pieces. Birdering's there the entire time. He can play McCree, he can play Widow, Tracer at a high level. He just enables them to do so many different things as a team. That's why I went with Birdering.
Yeah, for me, I went with Fleta. So, yes, London did actually end up winning Stage 1. They're still not in first place in the standings, but Seoul Dynasty, I tend to look at MVPs and I say, who is the most critical player to this roster? And Seoul has struggled, and they've only really had 3 consistent players in Jae-Hong, Zunba, and Fleta. But Fleta's performance, without a true second DPS threat to help him out, has been so extraordinary. And I think that gives you hope for the Seoul Dynasty moving forward, because it's about getting another player on his level, whether that's through helping out with Bunny, Munchkin, or Wikid, or signing a new DPS player entirely. But Fleta has been on another level compared to the DPS players.
Classic Korean Fleta enthusiast there, Monty. My MVP for the season has to be Meko. It's a start-to-finish season, right? We've got 5 weeks. This guy, in my opinion, has developed the greatest understanding of how to play the D.Va role, especially, but off-tank in general has been incredible. D.Va, as a hero, has the most final blows in the league, so D.Va players making big impacts are having huge, well, I guess, impact over their whole team's performance in general. Meko's incredibly consistent. He's a rock for this team. He completed, especially against the Valiant, was one of my favorite performances from him. This guy, just so solid, so consistent all the way through. Really can't fault him. So, interesting to get everyone's MVPs there, gentlemen. Perhaps you guys aren't too surprised at home, but that's it. That's it for MLG's Watchpoint. Check out our Stage 2 preview show on MLG.com, OverwatchLeague.com, and the Overwatch League app coming up soon. Thanks for watching. It's been a great season. We'll see you in Stage 2.